What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back to a new review. So over the past couple of weeks I got a bunch of phones that look like this, and I'm guessing this is one of the latest trends from China. Now out of the bunch, one phone stood out, and this is the AGM A9, and this is the one that we are reviewing today. So this is basically a mid-range device that's shockproof, waterproof, ice-proof. You can basically do anything and take this phone anywhere and it's still gonna work. You can even use this phone with gloves, and that's a very important feature, mostly if you live somewhere where it's cold, like Canada, Russia, or pretty much the rest of Europe. So a very useful feature if you can actually use the screen wearing gloves. This phone is also using a Snapdragon processor, and that's somewhat unusual for a Chinese device. So with this one we get a Snapdragon 450. This is an octa-core CPU, but this is mostly an entry-level CPU. This is a very power efficient CPU, but definitely not the fastest out there. Now, because the software is very well optimized on this device and it's kind of running stock Android, the phone feels very speedy and you can use most apps without any issues. But if you're looking for a phone for gaming, for example, you may want to look for something with a different processor, because the Snapdragon 450 is not going to do that amazing for gaming. Aside from that, you can get this phone with either 3 or 4 gigs of RAM and 32 or 64 gigs of internal storage. And I have the version that has 3 gigs of RAM and 32 gigs of internal storage. The phone can also take an SD card, but unfortunately that SD card cannot be used as expandable storage. I mean, you can still save pictures, so need music and stuff like that, but you cannot use the SD card as internal storage, so you can install apps on it. The phone also looks and feels much nicer than all the other rugged devices that I've seen in the past. So it's not as heavy, it's not as thick, and it doesn't look that hardcore. This one looks more like a normal device. Of course, we have some rubberized material to the corners, but that will protect the phone whenever you're dropping it, and the bezels around the screen are somewhat larger than a regular device. So this is a 6-inch screen, a 5.99 inches screen. This is an IPS screen that has great viewing angles, great colors, and it gets bright enough so you can use it outside. However, it's not the brightest screen that I've seen out there. And as I mentioned earlier, you can have a glove mode on as well, so you can use the screen using gloves. Just above the screen we have a 16 megapixel front-facing camera, and the camera does great if you have plenty of light. As soon as you don't have plenty of light, the pictures become kind of grainy and blurry, so they don't look that great. On the left and on the right hand side of the phone we have some type of metal. On the left hand side we have a button for the Google Assistant, so if you press that button you open the Google Assistant, and we also have the volume keys, and on the other side we have the slot for the SIM card, and this device can take either 2 SIM cards or a SIM card and an SD card. We also have the power button and a button that launches the camera, and you can also take pictures with that button. Now keep in mind that in order to use the button for the Google Assistant or the camera, the phone has to be unlocked. So if you don't unlock the phone, you cannot use those. But as soon as the phone is unlocked, you can use them. Another great thing about this phone is definitely the battery life. So inside this phone we have a 5400 mAh battery, and on one charge you can get up to 10 hours of screen time. It's possible that you'll get more than that if you don't use the screen at the maximum brightness, if you don't play games and so on. But me personally, I was able to get about 10 hours of screen time. The phone also supports fast charging through the USB-C port that we have at the bottom. So it supports Qualcomm's Quick Charge 3.0, and charging the device from 0 to 100 is done in just under 2 hours. So even if you run out of battery, you can just charge the phone in under 2 hours, which is really nice. The back of the phone is made out of plastic, but the plastic doesn't feel cheap to touch, so it feels really nice and premium. And you're also going to notice that we have 4 holes for speakers. Now, from my understanding, we have 2 speakers inside this device. One speaker is at the bottom and the other speaker is at the top, and we have 4 audio chambers, and the speakers are actually tuned by JBL. And I have to say, the speakers sound extremely loud even though they're pointing away from you. So no matter where you are, the speakers are loud enough so you can hear anything that's happening on the phone. So really nice sounding speakers. Aside from that, we have a fingerprint scanner, and the fingerprint scanner works very good. It's very accurate and it's faster than most Chinese devices that I tried. So you just touch it and the phone unlocks. And just above that we have the flash and a 12 megapixel sensor. The camera does pretty good for daytime pictures. The pictures are very sharp, the colors are very accurate, and dynamic range is good enough. Now, unfortunately, if you start taking pictures in low light, so at nighttime, the pictures don't turn out that great. They become very blurry and very grainy. So this phone will be ideal for daytime pictures, not so much for nighttime pictures. It can also record videos in 1080p, and that's the maximum resolution, and it looks like we have some type of electronic image stabilization for those 1080p recordings, and this is a quick example of a recording that I've done with this device. This is a quick video test to this new AGM phone that I'm trying out. So the maximum resolution that you can select for video recordings is 1080p, and I'm not sure if we have any type of image stabilization at this resolution. So under these conditions, so walking and with a lot of wind, this is how video recording from this device looks like. As I mentioned earlier, the software on this device is very well optimized. The phone is running Android 8.1 and the launcher seems to be very close to stock Android, so there isn't much holding the device back. For apps like Facebook, for example, scrolling through your feed works decent. I mean, you may notice a bit of lag here and there, but realistically not much more than you'd see on other devices that are more expensive. Instagram works good as well, Chrome works really well, so scrolling up, scrolling down, zooming in, zooming out works really good. And on the YouTube app, the maximum resolution is 1080p. So I think the phone does really good for day-to-day tasks. Now for gaming, it really depends what game you're playing, because if you're using some lighter games, the phone will do great, but if you're trying to play other games like PUBG or stuff like that, you will definitely see some dropped and skipped frames here and there. The GPS unit inside it works really good as well. It only takes half a second to find your location, and once your location is found, it doesn't seem to lose it no matter where you go. And of course, using any apps, any navigation apps like Google Maps works really good as well. For sensors, the phone has all the sensors that you'd find in a much more expensive device, and all the sensors seem to work good as well. For connectivity, we have dual band Wi-Fi, we have 4G connectivity and NFC, and you can use this device to make payments or to transfer files with other devices. So I'm very happy to see that they actually included an NFC chip inside this device. The speaker on top here gets loud enough so you can hear most conversations in pretty much any situations, and the call quality is also pretty decent for this device. As for the speeds over the 4G network and the dual band Wi-Fi, they're also good and probably better than a lot of other budget-friendly devices that I've seen in the past. And it's time to conclude this video. So the AGM A9 has a lot of things going for it. First of all, I love the battery life because you can go for a couple of days without charging the phone and you can get up to 10 hours of screen time. The screen looks great, the speakers on the back sound great, the fingerprint scanner is great. So a lot of things are good about this phone. It doesn't look like a rugged phone, but you can take it with you pretty much anywhere. You can do anything with it and it's not gonna break, so definitely a good thing. And the only downside to this phone are the cameras, because the cameras aren't that amazing, mostly in low light. So other than that, the phone is really nice. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did like it, press that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching.